This week on RSBANDB Update, 110 Crafting comes to RuneScape with Starbloom Armour, puns, Masterwork magic gear, urns, and jewelry. With PVM in our minds, we ask where Starbloom and Masterwork should be used. Is it the ideal entry gear? Also, questions of urns and profitability. This is RSBANDB Update, episode 1042, recorded Thursday, June 19th, 2025. Urning Your Masterwork. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another episode of RSBANDB Update. This week, 110 Crafting graces our screens. Lots of beautiful new armor arriving for Magic that I'll be making use of in a little bit, but joining us on this episode, Tanis, you're here. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Shane.
Also joining us is Avernick.
Hello.
You used to be primarily just the lore and quest person, but since we went group Iron Man and needed mains on this, you're on for 1/10.
I'll still try to put lore in this episode, don't worry.
Oh, I know. I saw a bullet point for that, so that is excellent.
I did too.
No, that's good. That's good.
No, I know. I was like, yeah, that was awesome.
And also, everybody's second favorite Australian, Pernesius, is here. Welcome, Pern.
G'day.
Well, of course, we had our 20th anniversary episode last week, and we wouldn't have got to this point without our experienced tier Patreon members, so big, huge thank you to Amos Reed, Bladecom, Dominic R., Jason S., Jesse W., Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Ricky A., Runestar, RRman NZ, Scio Aces, Snail Mage, The Naked Captain, and Tim. You'll be hearing more about our Patreon offerings a little bit later in the podcast, but in the meantime, if you want to follow along, you can find full show notes over at update.show. We have a community Discord over at update.show/Discord, and the Friends chat can be found in-game at BitsBytes. Well, here we are, folks. 3,095 total right now, if you discount virtual levels. 110 crafting, and a freshly updated crafting guild. I just have to point out here that the immersion level that we see with this new crafting guild, holy crap, it's off the charts.
As long as you don't look outside like 10 squares.
Yeah, well, that's why they were...
yes. Oh, inside, yes.
Well, that's why they were going to update everything around here, move the
the
Asgarnia, and just the
Southern Asgarnia,
the Melzar's Maze stuff as well. It all fits in as part of the general crafting setup, I guess, here. And you're going to be spending a lot of time here, specifically upstairs, when we talk about the making of armor, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But I guess a bit of a tour through the guild here right now. They added a bunch of stuff outside. There's a furnace for smelting your gold and silver, and then there is a winch you can drop down into a cave, which is where you get to the clay, the gold, and the silver rocks that used to be at the top level there. And all of this, it's just that level of graphical fidelity that we expect, and it just flows so nice. I think that's the best way
every
of
time
describing it. So, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's nice to see skill, like a skilling-centered update get the same kind of graphical love that some of the others do. Because, it felt more like, well, I don't know. I always thought the Artisan's Workshop had a good kind of feel to it. But
for mining and smithing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like we got the Time Altar for 110 rune crafting, and then the Eternal Magics for 110 woodcutting and fletching there for that. And, I just feel like we're going to be spending so much time up here at the guild. And any final graphical comments before I move on to the star of the show, the Starbloom Armour?
The examines hit.
Oh,
absolutely.
Right. Okay, which of these should I look at?
Classic mods to examines. The step ladder.
Okay, where is a step ladder?
like in the middle of the floor on the bottom floor, next to a bookcase.
Okay. Middle of the floor, bottom floor, next to a bookcase. Am I blind? Oh God, I must be blind. I'm looking at the pottery oven right now.
It's on the other side from the pottery oven.
Okay, I got it. Okay. Examine step ladder. Unfortunately, you never met your real ladder.
Oh no.
Oh God.
Oh no.
Give me another one.
I don't know if I remember the other ones.
Workbench. One day hopes to grow up to be an inventor's workbench.
Matsu littered it with the good stuff.
Chest, you're not medically qualified to do that.
The shelves have remarkably high shelf esteem.
Filing cabinet. This is where the master crafter keeps their license to kill. Can we
There's another filing cabinet that's got where there's tailing, there's paperwork. I just do want to say one thing.
I got one more for you. You can have my first joke about chimneys on the house. I have stacks of them.
God.
Good thing it was just Father's Day. Yeesh.
Oh, shit. Okay. I feel like I'm done. I've done all I need to for this episode.
I like these They're perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What were you going to say, Pern?
I was going to say the only thing I don't like is that they've moved the silver and gold ore down into a cave. It used to be great just to mine my gold, dump it straight into the furnace, AFK style. Now there's sort of it is a lot more steps involved.
Right. Storage bin. When the cows are tipped, this is where they keep their spare change. They're saving up to buy a Cadillac.
I hear you,
make a funny one. They didn't make a funny one. They didn't. Yeah, Shane's not listening. He's examining. But the bangle, a device used to press excess liquid from clothes. I mean, come on, couldn't they got something funny for that one?
Yeah, and see, I did a few upstairs on that, and I never went down to those ones.
I didn't fill space.
Oh my God.
Shane's having too much fun.
Maybe one other thing on the Crafting Guild update, and I don't know if this was a patch note or a real part of the update or whatnot, was the bank chests that they added are task set locked. And I was curious if any of you guys in your group Iron Man didn't actually have access to those.
Oh, I did not go there yet on the GIM, so that I thought it was just a bank chest for everybody then.
It's hard Falador task locked.
Okay, that's not too bad then.
Oh, that's like I've got hard Falador tasks, so
it's not crazy. It's because in the old Crafting Guild, the deposit box was hard Falador task locked. So now the deposit box is default, and they made it a bank chest upgrade because people are going to want a bank chest for like the tailoring.
I also went to this new Crafting Guild thinking I was going to still need my brown apron to get in.
I think it got removed previously when they changed it to the almost master crafters.
Yeah, I know. But you know, it's that continual RS3 old school cross wiring.
Yes.
But no, the guild. Wow, beautiful. Then the examines are on an entirely different level there. I was not expecting that.
Let's keep that going.
Good dad jokes. Love them.
God. Okay. Starbloom Armour. We've been crafting our Starbloom flowers for about 2 weeks now at this point, and I made about 30-40 mil on my flowers on day one. Avernick, how do you do?
Mm-hmm. I did something similar. I made my first 500 cloth and sold it for 60 mil or something like that.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing we we talk about getting in on at the early level for this. I don't know necessarily where it's settled, but I think it's going to settle at a good price. And keep in mind, Starbloom is what it goes into. It also goes into the Masterwork a bit, so there's going to be a continual trickle of this stuff that's needed. So I'm good with that. But the Starbloom Armour itself, I have to say it looks absolutely wonderful. I'll probably, when I do Magic, be using that as my cosmetic override because, never PVM and tank armor and all that. But in general, the process that you look at for the Starbloom Armour is you spin your flowers into thread, and then you weave that thread into fabric on the loom, and then you go over to the design on the pattern table, and then you have the ability to pick and choose what exactly you're going to make out of the Starbloom equipment. And then after that, you make the first third of it after the drafting table, and then you finish it off at the tailor's dummy with options on both the drafting table and the tailor's dummy to click to earn more progress. And if you don't, over time you'll accumulate what are miscuts, and then once you get to your maximum miscuts of 7, your progress will be halved, and you need to go to the repair table and repair your armor if you want to get full progress on that. And that's just a bit of a rundown on how we do the Starbloom Armour.
I will say I appreciate, obviously the thread's always going to be stackable. The cloth is stackable as well.
Yes, that's wonderful.
So
I think they had to do that because there's no cloth bank. But yeah, very appreciated.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of the whole design draft tailor loop here to make Starbloom?
I thought it was cool. I was afraid of the miscuts at first. I thought that was gonna.
Yeah, I had to test that to make sure you didn't destroy the item or anything.
You have to worry about them to +4. Like you can't even get it before +4.
It's really not that. Yeah, it's not that bad or anything. So, I was pleasantly surprised. No, I think it's kind of. It's what I would want. Sure. It's you know what I mean. It reminds me of like the smithing and loop and
fletching,
maybe even then some, and fletching. So
and rune crafting on the altar.
Yeah. I think it's thoroughly distinct from the smithing. I know I've seen a lot of calls that it's the same.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that because it feels like at the core of it, it's the same sort of thing of upgrading a base to a +5, right? But you are only staying at an altar, or sorry, not an altar. Wow, you're only staying at a forge, an anvil for smithing. Whereas with this, you're using 2 different pieces of machinery here for this. Let's call it. So, I'm kind of of two minds. Like, I feel like what we've seen for smithing, fletching, rune crafting, I feel like they're all the same. But weren't people asking for that with the mining and smithing rework when that came out, to see more of that in other skills?
Yes.
I was, but also I think you have to somewhat acknowledge, and I guess this is probably in all games to one extent or another, but like, aren't you? Oh man, I lost it there. But
what? Go for it.
Well, it just seems like, okay, every game when you're coming up with a new method like this, especially with RuneScape, everything is meat, lettuce, and tortillas. It's Taco Bell, man. Every time you come up with something, it's all the same shit. It's all lettuce, tomato.
Well, and see, I think that's what made. I've been doing a lot of archaeology, and I think that's what made archaeology unique. Was that it wasn't that?
Was it not Rock Opportunities instead Time Sprite instead of Rock Opportunity?
I guess from that perspective, but I'm talking about the core loop of excavate, restore, and then optional.
Sure, yeah, it's not just the mining skill; it's the mining skill plus the smithing skill.
And that's how I find this is as well. You've got, okay, you spin your thread, which is making your ore into bars, then you go to the loom to make it into cloth.
Yeah.
But then you're going to the table. You got the drafting table, then you got the cutting table, then you got the tailor's dummy. I mean, yes, its core is the same, but it's different. It adds that little bit extra, and that extra. Click on the when you see the green line, click it quickly. You can get up to 50 progress.
And I just want to address one thing with that, and I saw the tick calculations going on with that it does in effect slow you down to click on that, and in reality you're only getting an extra 25 progress from the tick that you give up and all that, and that's just a difference in terms of presentation on that, I feel.
Yeah, well, that's exactly.
So,
and I'm currently doing some smithing now to work on my masterwork components. And I think that I'm realizing that the difference in like the passive loop between this and the tailoring is that smithing, you have to click every once in a while. Like you have to click within 20 seconds or whatnot, wherever your heat drain rate is versus your thresholds. And that's like, you come back every minimum amount of time. Whereas the tailoring, you have to click every 20 seconds, not at least every 20 seconds, but at like the 20-second mark, more like safe cracking.
Yeah.
And that just does feel different to me in that, like,
it lets you get into a more
watch YouTube and do the crafting,
loop.
and I had to like get a rhythm. Like, what does whatever the because it is pretty consistent. I feel like the same number of seconds between each one. Like I was able to get into a point where every time I turned the screen, it was back up, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting the feel for this. So I do think there's enough differences. Granted, and I think another comparison you can make is that there are a lot of things that plug into smithing right now. We have a lot of bonuses. You're using all your leveling bonuses, plus your earth and furnace core, plus your smithing cage, plus all these fire making, all those things. Those things don't exist for tailoring yet, and I think there's an expectation that they should already exist. But this was
and see, that's the thing. I disagree with that because crafting,
since the mining smithing rework, they said they overdid it with like plugging in old stuff like that, and that's what made it unfeasible to do that for every skill.
And if you look at crafting post 99 versus under 99 is a very old school skill. Post 99 it's what we expect for the RS3 stuff, and I think that's the difference there. And I still want, how we're getting the fletching retier, I still would like to see these mechanics come down into the rest of the skill. So and that's something we can talk about later with future 110s.
My only issue is when you on the design pattern table, if you're on mining smithing, you've got up on the right hand side your base +1, +2, +3. Yep. With the Starbloom, you've got to drop that tab, do +1. If you're making a full set of the hat, the top, the legs, etc., you have to do that on each individual piece each time.
Defaults to the base.
And see that
it defaults to the basic one. But
the reason I think it's doing that is because you're going to have cloth in your inventory, and I mean at that you default to the basic one, and I'm sure maybe there's some sort of thing they can do with that to kind of help that along.
It's also just that old menu style. I think that there's been slight talk about like getting that smithing style menu to at least fletching for when they do the fletching, pulling it down to the lower levels. I think that could slowly come. It's just that it's not the menu style they have to work with for these.
Exactly. And as I said, it's not a huge issue. It's just one of those things.
I just want to pump the brakes for a minute and realize that 90% plus of the people who are interacting with this content are not going to be going down into the finer minutia like we are doing here. We are doing this here because we have an audience of people who love to get into the nitty gritty like that.
Yeah.
So and maybe not the menu thing, but with all these things talking about with like the tick and on the progress for not getting the miscut and the moving between the tables, there's just so much room for them to make content rewards that plug into this at this point. Like what did you do with old crafting? You saved material once in a while. I'm excited to see what they do with it going forward.
And I mean this Starbloom Armour, when you look at it, it's something that I think we're going to be going for on the GIM, because right now your choices for Magic Tank armor are either Cryptbloom or Raids.
This is accessible.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. And, you know, you look at what a full set of the Starbloom provides you in terms of all of the bonuses that it gives. And this can just make you like a huge friggin' sponge. And you don't even need Cryptbloom for this. Throw on Animate Dead here, and you're looking at, you know, for the entire set, if you wanted to do it, 1,843 extra armor and an extra 4,950 life point boost at +5, all for 384 of the cloth from the farming. So it's really not that bad. And I wanted to ask you, Pern and Tannis, specifically from the GIM perspective, where do you think this lands for us?
Oh, great!
Oh,
I love it
because it starts at 85, right? So
I mainly use tank armor. I don't care on fastest kills
right.
and such. I need that extra life point. I'm not quick on everything, so I use tank armor. I am at the moment working on getting my crafting up to the level of where I can make it all for the group. I mean, I'm at 97 crafting, about 800k away from 98.
Yeah, I'm out of seeds, by the way.
So, yeah, I think I've got some more that I got from the dinos the other day. But yeah, anyway, beside the point there. But yeah, no, I think this is going to be great. Again, it's something that Iron Man can make without having to go to high level bossing when we're not ready for it yet.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know about you guys, and I think I can speak for Thaxi and myself, is that we won't find ourselves doing PVM in tank armor. So this is going to be very much a Slayer kind of thing.
I was going to say, but when you want to work on your Slayer,
yeah,
you just throw it on your Slayer.
Or I just use Necromancy. I can't. But
yeah, I mean, I did a Dark Beast task, which is supposed to be weak to range. And I thought I need to get my range up. I'm only 88 range. I need to hit that level 90. It takes 4 times as long doing Dark Beast with range as it does with Necromancy. And I have to sort of keep my eye on it, whereas Necromancy, just take an aggro. You don't need aggro pots down there, but you don't need to watch the screen because bang, you run out of the room every 10 minutes and reset their aggro. Whereas on the range side, you occasionally have to have a bite of food because you're just not killing them quick enough.
Yeah, that's a bit of a sidetrack, but I guess when you look at this, I feel like it was something that was missed, because let's see, what is Cryptbloom at anyways? That's a good question. What is the price of Cryptbloom right now for the entire set? One bill for the entire set if you wanted to do that. Whereas this is just so much more accessible. Granted, you don't get like the damage soaking aspect of it, but you get the magic tank side of it.
But
yeah.
And Animate Dead.
And it's something you can make yourself.
Yeah. So.
And that's, and it unlocks Animate Dead for you at a reasonable point. So, and at 99, I mean, it's that step up from the Port's armor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, Sea Singer is dead. Mm-hmm. Unless you really need that set effect for the 1 in 1,000 chance at a Port's resource.
I mean, I've been pushing my ports to get range and magic armor, and it's like, well, yeah, once I hit 99, I mean, I still need 99 defense.
Pivot to pearls.
Yeah, but my defense is already 98 anyway.
You know what?
So,
Thank you for mentioning pearls. I went to go eat on Tuesday, I think it was this week, and I had hopped to my main. I loaded up my main on the screen to do something when I got back from eating. And when I got back, I couldn't remember what it was, but now I remember it was that I was going to go set my ports for pearls.
I'm glad we eventually got there.
Anyways, That's Starbloom, and I think it's good. It's not intended to be PvR armor. It's Slayer armor, and your first tier 9
its use is crafting training, but I'm glad to find extra use out of that. Yeah. Outside that,
and we didn't mention adornment. Go ahead, Tannis.
I was just gonna say this is my kind of gear. You can make it yourself. It may not be like the most powerful, don't PVM and tank. I know, but I do because I need to stay alive. Because I'm not going to do enough damage, right? Like, that's the problem. No matter what I do, I can't do the damage. Doesn't matter if I'm in the most damage put out shit there is. So, tank armor, I still would use it. And absolutely fine for Slayer. I wish we had the same Masterwork Slayer set effect, but
we do.
Is it the same?
As long as not for the augmented pieces, but
oh
yeah,
but
we'll get to that because there's a gotcha with this one. I want to talk about adornment briefly because once you get your +5, you can sacrifice it on the tailor's display with adornment for an entire set, and right now this is not working as intended, and they put out a message, I'll say, this week basically saying that we're aware that this and the 110 crafting team is looking into issues when adorning the Starbloom armor, and there'll be a fix coming with the Monday update. So to get the correct XP, they recommend holding on to your +5 sets until after the update launches. So we're not going to talk too much about what the XP is for the adorning right now because that is broken. But one of the things that can produce a substantial amount of XP that actually comes from this update is just the drafting phase of creating the +5 set. If that was something you wanted to do, just for the hell of it, but it involves destroying armor, which really isn't a good case right now, given that's where the adornment lands. But I think we want to do a full XP discussion on the +5s and the adornments next week, unless anybody has any comments in the meantime on this right now.
No. Let's wait till after they fix.
Yeah.
Avernick, were you gonna add something there?
No, I was just considering this is the burial thing, this is the ascending thing, this is the marshalling thing, whatever the last thing is. I feel like with it ascending and marshalling, I guess they technically added mechanic to fletching, right? But with both of those, I don't feel like there was much going on. I think with this one, because of the tailoring mechanic of the miscuts does carry through, and this is where you really have to actually pay attention to the miscuts because it goes on long enough that it matters. You could fully miscut it if you really weren't paying attention. It feels a little more involved than when I was doing the rune crafting and fletching versions of these. So just something interesting to point out. I think with smithing, it probably also would feel involved, like the burial stuff, if I didn't have the 10 different bonuses that, like we said, were built into the binding and smithing update to make heat mechanic barely matter. So this one I feel like I have actually to pay a little more attention to than the other ones.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. All right. Sounds good. So with that, I'm going to thank some Patreon members, just so we don't get away from that, because the next segment is a big one. So this week, I'd like to thank, starting off with Alvaro L, Amos Reed, Arvids L, Bladecom, Chilbura, Dominic R, Duramax, Gila Fleur, Jade Gizmo, Jason S, Jesse W, Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Mongrath, Pernacius, Ricky A, Robbie D, Runestar, RR Man NZ, Samuel FL, Scott DS, Shirt Pants, Psy Oasis, Snail Mage, the Naked Captain, the Dabbing Goat, Tim, Ukulele Steve, Woody, Zant, and Zazakon. Big huge thank you, everybody. If you're wondering what this is about, patreon.com/RSBANDB. There we offer 3 tiers of support, actually 4, but only 3 right now because it's full. Starting for as little as $1 a month. You'll be helping, of course, fund the podcast. You'll be helping us do what we do each and every week. If you want to sign up there, you'll get access to an entire back catalog now of north of 80 plus monthly bit episodes. Also the ability to vote on those topics and attend our roundtables. We also, for $3 a month, have our VIP tier where you get a rank on Discord, a special chat channel, mentioned on the podcast at the start of the month, and a high-quality stereo version of the show as well. And for $5 a month, you'll receive a shout-out on the podcast each and every week and gain exclusive access to the outtakes that we use to make the clip show at the end of the year. And you do also get the RSBANDB Update Christmas card there for that one if you sign up. But we have a whole collection of bonus shows, monthly bits, as we call them. The clips are all there, all that sort of stuff at patreon.com/RSBNB. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks.
All right. Masterwork Magic Armor. And yes, Tanis, there is a set effect. When damaged, 10% of incoming damage is delayed and dealt over the next 6 seconds. This increases to 50% with all 5 pieces. So it is the same set effect that is on the
melee.
That is on the melee one.
Version.
But does it degrade when you're doing Slayer? That's the Slayer effect.
Oh, I see. The wiki page doesn't say anything about degrading, and I don't think they commented on that, did they?
I don't think so. Mostly what it just says the same set effect.
Okay.
So.
Well, I guess if it doesn't have a degrading mechanic anyway, then yeah. Okay.
It has the same custom fitting effect as the trimmed Masterwork melee. So it can be augmented, and then with that, it never degrades when on Slayer, Reaper, Tasker.
Yeah, that's the custom fitting effect.
So that's the custom fitting effect. So it does have that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just the two you augment are the ones that are now just working off divine charges instead. Yeah. That's their quote-unquote degrade.
There's a catch, though.
Badass.
There's the catch, though. You have to sacrifice the Tectonic armor pieces for the Tectonic essence and the Virtus armor for the Praetoric essence in this.
Oh, but that's the same as... that's the same as Masterwork,
It's
right?
Tectonic and Virtus are the ones, yeah.
Yeah. So, I'll get into why that's a bit of how I feel about this from the PVM side, and then I feel like, Tanis, you're already lining up to create this armor. So we'll talk about that. But, I mean, nothing too surprising here. I mean, I think the biggest thing that surprised people was needing 120 of each of the wool from your farm, to the point that was selling a lot this week. I wish I kept my sheep going instead of just letting the Zygomites roam the medium pens. But it is what it is. You do that creates 1,200 Masterwork thread. You need 5 stones of binding, which come from the store. Masterwork white cloth, 20 of those is made from Croesus flakes, and then 1,000 Starbloom cloth.
Oh yes.
So nothing too egregious there. The Masterwork blue cloths comes from combining all of the lower crafting materials like Imphide all the way up to Mystic cloth, including things like your Batwing and your bark from Split Bloom.
For some reason with that one, everything is all on the GE, granted at inflated prices, except Batwing. No one has Batwing. So that's the only one you have to go get yourself. If you, it's just not on the GE.
Well,
maybe an opportunity for people to make a lot of money off Batwing if they really wanted to.
Batwing, I think you can buy off NAF in Varrock, if I remember correctly.
I've only checked Zaf. Maybe you're right. I've been going to the Corrupted Bats in the Lumbridge Catacombs, which have a 1 in 4.
So easy, yeah.
It's easy,
I
but
mean,
it's just I'm there spamming the GE, and that's the one. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't show a store on the wiki for where they come from, so I think it's only the drops there. But
maybe I'm just thinking of the
bark and the fine cloth you can get from Zaf for a day, which is enough for 2 blue cloths.
Yeah, and Mystic cloth is easy from Ankus and whatnot.
G.
Or the GE, right? Thinking in the GIM
mains,
the GIM brain there for that. Masterwork green cloth is again Starbloom cloth, fungal flakes, griefolic flakes, and ganodermic flakes. So
you only need one of this one.
Yes, so that's not too bad.
One ganodermic flake.
No, 1,000 ganodermic flakes. You need one green cloth.
Sorry. I'm thinking, what?
No, you need just whatever it says for the green cloth, you need exactly one just for the hat.
No worries.
For some reason. But, you know, put the bug report in. I dare you. It's asking for 1,000. Avernick said 1.
Well, the thing is that it needs 20 white, 9 blue, and 1 green.
Yep.
So, and I mean, if you look at the picture, it kind of makes sense.
Of the hat?
No, just in general of the armor.
Yes.
So,
the hat is maybe something to note for the argument you're about to tee up. The hat is the only piece of the armor that doesn't require any tectonic or Virtus.
You knew where I was going with this, didn't you?
I knew exactly where you were going with this. The hat is free for skills. You get the hat, the cowboy hat.
Yeah. The ethereal pearlescent plates are also a requirement for this, and this one looks to be the most involved here of these, because it comes down to needing lined pearlescent plates that are unimbued, which then are lined before that. Then you get pearlescent plates from pearlescent substrates, which is what you have for your combination of tectonic essence, Prasilic essence from the magic side, and pearls from the ports.
Tectonic, just remind me where that comes from.
Virago.
Yep.
But it's nearly guaranteed of a drop. Like,
yeah, but again, it is a
group boss.
That's what pisses me off.
We'll be able to do it one day, no problem.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean, I just don't. If you're going to do these type of things, it should be coming from individual bosses. If just say you have a
Virago is solo,
man, a standard, for what 0.1% of the population. Yeah,
not me right now.
I mean, I really hate when they do these type of things that require group bossing. Especially something like Virago, which 0.1% of the player base can solo. I mean, unless you can do him with a death touch dart.
I mean, if it drops the, it's going to.
I think you do it with like 6 death touch darts.
Yeah, you would need 6, but it can drop the stuff.
Yeah, well, again, Anyway, that's just my bitch point on it. So.
No, and totally understood.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point.
It's the unfortunateness of when did Virago come out? 2013, 12 years ago. They put this tier 90, like, I wouldn't say like anything crazy armor, like it didn't have a set effect or anything, just like the tier 90 armor. They put it out, and now we're doing all this stuff. It's like, well, you got to incorporate like the previous tiers, otherwise they're gonna like not be worth anything. And unfortunately, that was on a group boss. Could they change it? Like, I think it'd just be a lot of effort to change it. I think like something that makes something like Solak like not unoffensive. Like I feel like the crossbows for Solak are just like so like we're never gonna touch those because they're like off tier and they're group and all that. But the fact that like the Virago stuff is just so core and the next stuff is so core, it's unfortunate it's working out that way. But I don't know what their other option was.
Yeah, and I mean it's the general trend for the way this masterwork stuff lands, right? So, and I said to Tanis, that's the unfortunate point.
You get the hat.
Yeah, you get the hat, but I mean, for your main, like if you just wanted to, you could just buy these plates off the GE and you're done, right?
Oh, 100%. Tectonic is so cheap.
Yeah. For what you need. You just break it down and you're done.
Oh, of course.
And
no worries at all.
We're only splitting the hairs for the GIM
and
side of it.
Well, even though, I mean, my main, I like to play sort of as an Iron Man style, where I like to collect everything myself. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to just go and buy it because I don't group boss, pure and simple.
Right now, the cost bottleneck is actually Virtus. Costs way much more than Tectonic. I'm currently doing the body, So you need the equivalent of a Virtus body and a Tectonic
but
body.
See, at least Nex on a main account that's maxed,
doable.
you can. I mean, I die a bit, but I can. Can solo it. But Virago, I'll never be able to solo Virago.
No, yeah, me neither.
Not unless you give me sort of tier 200 armor and weapons.
Double animate dead.
So you get the hat for free, like you said, Avernick. You don't need the Virtus pieces for that. And my use case with this, and I talked to Bears and I talked with Faxi about this from the the meta PVM side, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is, again, in our view, another kind of thing you're going to use for Slayer and as an introduction to PVM, perhaps. Because the reality of it is, if you have, tectonic pieces lying around, you are better off using the tectonic armor from that, because it gives, at one point, the set effect is the 3% crit chance boost.
Yep.
Or if you are just wanting to get into Magic and, play around at the PVM level, and you know what you're doing PVM-wise already, you might as well go Animacore of Sliske, because for practically no cost, you get the 6% crit chance boost from that. So the sense that I come down on, and the PVM people that I've talked to in relation to this, is that this Masterwork again isn't PVM armor unless you're getting into the bossing again and you want something that's going to provide that cushion for spreading that damage out while also giving you the magic boost. But if you're doing anything serious with Magic, as in leaning into its niche as a crit strike kind of combat style, you really want the sets that have the crit chance boosts on it, if we're talking about what is meta and what is bin maxing. So I don't think anybody will be doing endgame PVM with this. I think it might be a good thing to do to get into that mid-tier of PVM if you want to, not use tank armor. But aside from that, I could also, maybe see mixing the hat and one of the other pieces with just the core Starbloom stuff and running Animate Dead based off of that, just to get some of the set effects going here. Like run 3 pieces of this and then throw on, 2 pieces of tank armor as well, if you really wanted to, kind of go for what was going to be I guess the tankiest Magic setup you can get in terms of spreading that damage around and also benefiting from the armor value that tank provides.
Sure, and I have two points on that. One is I have some PVM people in my clan as well, and they are all about those boots. Currently, there's really not a good boot option.
Yeah, because the only boot option we have is the one that changes detonate.
Yes.
And that's tier 80.
Are in. Granted, it doesn't get the set effect, whatever, but it's technically best in slot boots.
Yeah.
Second, I do think this armor is perfect for my style of PVM.
Right.
I am perfectly happy doing my hard mode Nakatra or whatever, but I'm still splashing in a couple pieces of Death Warden when I'm doing that because I want that little safety buffer, and I feel like this is in that middle ground of where I was previously mixing power armor with tank armor just to get the bonuses of the damage plus the you were saying splashing in.
Yeah.
This just has the splash in built in. So I think that kind of works for me, and I think that seems to work for a lot of players because this armor is selling for money.
Yeah, so what you could do then, if you wanted to work that in on the PVM side, is that you go with the boots, you go with the 3-piece Sliske for the top, top, bottom, and hat. And then, if you're at Poisonable, you'll bring the Cinderbanes, and then if not, you could bring the
Carapax.
Bring the Carapax gloves as well. So,
there's space for it's not best in slot, and obviously the Masket's coming out. But.
Yeah, and I think that's where Masterwork needs to land. I don't necessarily think what we're talking about here is bad. I think the way you put it in, just the way we laid all this stuff out, I think that's exactly where a Masterwork armor is supposed to end up.
It's not you just sitting there taking no damage. It's still you're a little competitive with the power, armor, and numbers and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Slayer as well. You know, like if you don't need the full tank ability and the life point boost of Starbloom +5, this is your other option. So yeah. And I mean from that perspective, it's good. I just think that it's not what you're going to do if you're wanting to min-max and you're running a crit setup. Basically, is where I come down on this.
Not how to start a Twitch channel.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. What were you mentioning about the profitability of this?
So today is Thursday. Update came out on Monday.
Soon to be Friday.
Soon to be Friday in minutes. Up till today, it was still massive profit to buy all of the Masterwork components.
So like the essences and whatnot.
So like the cloths, the white blue cloths, the platinum, and just straight up Torva, Virtus, and Tectonic bodies. By all that, you're spending like 500 mil to get the components to make a Masterwork body. And turnaround at a certain point today was 900 mil. I think right now it's actually at 700. You're still making 200 mil profit just for those platinum plate steps and the last step, because those are all the untradeable parts.
Yeah,
like you're still making hundreds of mil profit for like 4 hours of work,
right?
And
work. Keep in mind that's going to go down over the weekend by the time people are hearing it.
It is,
but
the fact lasts until Thursday,
right? And that tells you what the demand is like on this armor. Then,
it's still there, and right now it's like if you're looking at, maybe you source everything else yourself. You're just buying the PVM components because you're a skiller. The Virtus body is around 200 mil right now. And the Tectonic body is around 30 mil, so you're spending 230 only. So as long as it's kind of above that, any decent amount, there's a profit margin somewhere in there.
A wise man can hear profit in the wind, as they say.
There's enough demand for this thing, and I'm surprised. I think a couple pieces of this update have actually made some pretty good.
Yeah, we'll talk about the clay.
Right now is crazy.
Yeah, that too. That too, like I said, I wish I kept my sheep going, but I did not. There's the clay and the porcelain as well.
It's fully RR, man.
Yeah, that's true.
He's a New Zealander. He'll have sheep aplenty.
Yeah, once upon a time in New Zealand, sheep outnumbered the humans 12-1.
They still outnumber them. As I say, New Zealand, where the men are men and the sheep are nervous.
Oh, Pern, Tanis, what do you guys think of this armor after Averna kind of detailed where it lands from the meta perspectives?
I mean, I liked it before, and I'm just glad that Avernick made a more eloquent case for it. But I'm such a big advocate of being able to craft your own material, your own armor. So, no, I mean, yeah, and there's more. Like I'm a big fan.
The one thing I kind of wish there was like the untrimmed variant that didn't need those Tectonic and Virtus pieces like you have with the smithing.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. I mean, I love it, but the only thing, I mean, as I said, the Prasulic, no worries, but Tectonic, when it comes from a group boss, I mean, my main will get it. I just don't like group boss stuff, but overall, as a whole, I think they've really done well. But yep, an untrimmed version. A couple of levels below, whatever, would be perfect.
Yeah. And I gotta point out as well that the pearls we're talking about are not oyster pearls, as I initially thought last week.
Thank you for that. You know what I was out there collecting, weren't you? I was down at Dagonoth's.
Oh no!
With notepaper.
No. We had a conversation
in
pre-show that I said pearls, so we thought I thought oyster pearls.
I have 3,500 oyster pearls in my bank because of Shane.
Damn.
It was you did to me what that guy did to me with the Goblin Raiders, saying if once you kill 100 Goblin Raiders and get the boss down there, you get a you get a pet. So I go and every couple of hours I'm running down killing Goblin Raiders.
Where?
And you know those Goblin Raiders that pop up? You know, like they've got the demon.
Oh,
the
like the little yellow
text
things, yeah.
Yeah. There's a Goblin Raiders one, and someone told me there was a pet after you kill 100, and it was that they April fooled me. So I'm out there and I've killed my 100 and didn't get the pet. I said, maybe it's on the 101st one, so I kill another one, and then I decided I'm going to look this up. And realize he was tricking me.
Well, I mean, if we ever need oyster pearls, you have those now.
They're in the GE, but yeah,
okay, that's on your main.
Yeah, I just dumped them. I don't know.
All right, so that's Masterwork Armor. Let's go on to the Exquisite Urns. I feel like it has to be said that way.
Exquisite.
In the very, pretentious Ivy League Eastern school kind of thing. So,
it is exquisite.
One thing that really stood out to me with this one is that, again, environment-wise, the cave under Everlight for this just looks absolutely immaculate. Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing. It's same as Everlight. Everlight's always been good.
Yeah. I forget who I was talking to this week. It was either in the clan chat or in the Discord. Somebody was asking if there was a way to get the clay from down there that was, already wet. But what you can do is that you can actually, depending on what stream you mine from, that'll determine whether your clay is wet or dry. For that. So the porcelain clay. So that's an interesting
the Mudfalls.
Little mechanic.
If you see the Mudfalls, when you do those, you get 4 wet clay off the Mudfalls as well.
Yeah,
little extra bit, and the wet clay you get is double. It's wetted and doubled.
Yeah.
So
and if there becomes a total blockage on both sides, you can mine that, and then you get like a stack of clay from when you clear that blockage as well. So this is just, absolutely, again, amazing in terms of what they did for the environment here, and just you're able to tell obviously which one's wet and which one's dry by focusing in on where the stream is, but there's also a glowing set of yellow stars above the ones that is wet. So that I just had to point out that with this environment here, holy cow, it's just something, again, I absolutely enjoyed seeing this week, the environment at Everlight. And, for some reason, Everlight always just manages to amaze like that. So, wanted to make that point. What were you going to mention about lore here, Avernick? Because we were wondering how you're bringing the lore into this episode.
It's never a bad time when you log into an update and you've lost your Master Quest cape.
Okay.
So logging into I don't think it was mentioned in any of the blogs.
No, it wasn't.
Was that there is a not so hard to obtain lore book from the archaeologist outside this cave if you turn in 100 clay.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys. Yeah, it has to be noted.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have grabbed it.
No, I had no idea this was a thing until now.
It's perfect.
I'm not a Master Quest cape person.
Quest cape achievement, and then if you talk to her, she mentioned she'd like for you to bring her some clay. It's a book which it's called On the Origin of Centaurs. It is something that this archaeologist found in the cave, they say. Although it talks a little bit more about the God Wars than you'd think would be like from the Everlight times. So maybe a different archaeologist dropped it. Something like that. It is a multi-chapter book about the planet Renmark and then it being destroyed and turned into like all of the holiday lands. And then how that created centaurs.
Interesting. And we've never really heard of centaurs before, have we?
I think they're only in the Enchanted Valley.
Yeah, that sounds right.
They were in Death of Chivalry.
I
Right
believe.
at the end.
Oh yes. The Fern and whatnot were centaurs with the horns. Or one of them had a horn.
That was a long time ago. I've not done that quest recently.
That is mentioned here as well. It's that there's like some creation myth around Renmark, and then it goes like very detailed about like Gothics like traveling the multiverse with the Elder Blade and accidentally destroying this planet, and that they were Terra Guardian colonizers on the planet, which when it got shattered, got like spliced with all of the unicorns on the planet, and that became centaurs.
And now I guess the $1 million question is, why was such a cave or why was such a book like this in this Everlight cave?
Well, centaurs were a part of the Ceredominists' army and troops,
right? Because isn't one of the guardians in Ziliana's God Wars 1 a centaur?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So they were definitely of some of the people that would have been in Everlight. So that's probably a big reason for why it was here. Other than that, like, it's not very Ceredominist written. It's actually more about Gothics. It touches as well on what the land of Sunlight and Glades look like. Sunlight being the one we haven't seen currently. That one when we were supposed to get a summer holiday hub instead of the beach. Didn't happen. It sounds like an absolute desert, though. And then the Land of Glades, they kind of talk about the Enchanted Valley rather than the Blooming Burrow. And then the Land of Snow and Harvest pages are ripped out, either because they want to hide things or because we kind of just know what those ones are about because Halloween and Christmas are such prevalent events. It's a really interesting book, totally unexpected. Like you said, Centaurs would not have been on my top 10 list of guesses for what a new Everlight lore book would have been. A little more metaphysical, like planetary stuff than I would have expected, but like not.
Which
unwanted.
Is weird because they have been trying to get away from that sort of thing.
It's very explicit about it too, yeah. But very happy that there is a little lore book. I feel like the mining and smithing 110 scratched that itch for me, and then it's been a little missing in the fletching, woodcutting, firemaking, runecrafting ones. So I'm glad it came back a little here. And I don't know who wrote this book. Maybe it was Susan on the update. Maybe someone else wrote it and they plugged it in. But very happy to see this, and I hope that they keep doing this with the future 110s, is sprinkling it in.
Yeah, it's kind of like how when we got that, everybody was theorizing about the Blackstone. I think when was that mining and smithing where we had the Blackstone thing on Moss the Harmless, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. So, right on. Okay. We absolutely love Everlight, and we absolutely love everything that place brought to the game lore-wise with archaeology and whatnot. So,
the book wasn't as good as the first one.
Oh, like the paper book?
The recent novels, The Fall of Holiday, and the Gift of Gothics. Yeah, I did prefer Gift of Gothics. Excited to see how the third one plays out in September. But
September. I was going to say, do we know when it's coming out? So
I think it's on Amazon for pre-order. And it's about,
is it?
Oh yeah, and it's about like a massacre in Bill Rock, which is going to be very interesting.
My birthday next week. The kids have been asking me what to buy. I'll tell them just pre-order that for me.
Not like that one year, right?
No.
Anyways, yes. We'll leave that as
you got excited. You got excited about that book.
No, we'll leave that. We'll leave that. Let's talk about the urns then. This whole selection of exquisite urns. Okie dokie. Starting at 102, going all the way up to 110, new urns for all of the urn skills: mining, cooking, fishing, smithing, woodcutting, runecrafting, divination, hunter, and farming. And what they add in with this for some of them is the need to use jade, topaz, and opal gems. And there was a patch note this week that if you are now above level 50, you no longer have a chance to accidentally crush those gemstones when cutting them, because hey, you don't want to.
You want them for this.
You want those. You want the gems for this.
That always was funny to me at 99. 99 crafting, that I'd still be crushing those low level gems. It's like always had me laughing. So it's good that they finally fix that.
Yeah. But fairly standard fare with this gem, and then a rune on top of it with the porcelain clay that we just spent talking about from the lore side of this. And this is another one of those kind of, I think, philosophical discussions we have to have. Do you use these urns, or do you just stick with decorative? Because on average, it's a 1.7x increase from decorated, but when you factor in time and material, you question if it's worth it, because the end result ends up being a 4 to 5% XP boost if everything considered is tradable, or you're not sinking your time and resources into the urns. How do we feel about this? Avernick, you weren't an urn user previously.
I'm not an urn user, so only outside views from over here.
Yeah, what do you think?
I get it's marginal. I imagine you're getting more mining XP and crafting XP making the urns.
Yeah, and then that's what they said they wanted to
plus.
Index to primarily to crafting.
So in that, if you go any crazier than what current urns are, and granted they're clearly low enough that I'm not bothering, you just power creeping the XP rates, and then these are now go from a nice bonus to a must-have. So I can see that concern of it. Additionally, I was a little surprised that they didn't adjust the decorated urn level bands when these came out. I feel like previously to these, like all the urns have like their own lane, right? Because they only work on a certain level bands of stuff. They only work from like levels 70 to 110 or whatnot, the decorated ones. So I'm surprised that they're letting these overlap, and that therefore this is now a debate. Whereas if they just called this the next tier of urn and said everything 100 plus uses this urn, or maybe they wait until they go to 110, then you're just forced to use it, and then this isn't really a conversation. It's just the next step.
Yeah.
So those are kind of my thoughts. I'm not offended that they're not like a huge, like 4 to 5% XP is considered. If it was 10% XP, like in all these skills, that's
wouldn't that be too much?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
We'd be having that discussion. That would definitely.
They just boost every scaling of thing by 10%.
Tannis Pern, what do you guys think?
Again, as someone who does use urns and makes them for the group, I mean, the regular urns, I mean, once you unlock Prif, are just so easy to do that, they're very AFK, you're staying in one little area. These, I mean, you probably wouldn't want 10%, but I would have been looking more like 6 or 7% extra on these for the effort that they take. I mean, you've got to go down to Everlight, which is fine. You are running around to make sure you do get the wet clay, which does move.
You're guaranteeing that you're using porters with this.
Yes, because there's no easy banking method here. There's no sort of area down there to make them straight away so that they stack. I mean, it's gonna suit those min maxes. It's a good sink for gems. I will give it that. But for myself, I will just be sticking to the regular decorated urns. I think they give enough. The bonus XP. I mean, you go down and you do your chin chompers, and you go through 15 or 20. When you do your 12 chin chompers a day. So, again, as I said, they're probably going to suit those min maxes. But for the regular player, I think decorated urns are going to still be the go-to.
And to that point with the min-maxers, there's...
You could just buy them on the GE, and then...
I was going to say,
more XP.
There's a certain point where, even though, as you, get these bigger and bigger XP bonuses and whatnot, I think that generally, as you get higher in the XP bonuses, the high ones, you should be paying more and more for the smaller and smaller bonuses on the top. This is where it's a small bonus, and you're probably paying a lot more if you're buying these over decorated. But like, it should be like exponentially more expensive to get like the most insane rates. Otherwise, if it was linear, like it'd be less of a choice. It'd just be like whatever you're willing to pay that day. Whereas like this is kind of like separating out the tiers of like who's willing to pay for what. If these are harder to make,
I actually need to test this because decorated just feels so fast with farming, and at 110 with these ones for this, I think that could be an interesting thing. I didn't think about that. Tying that into this discussion here, so that's something I'll come back to for our XP discussion on the Starbloom and whatnot next week. And I think if you're a main and you're not concerned about money for what it's going to cost to get these exquisite urns, you're going to use them.
Bonus.
Because that 4 to 5% extra XP, if you were in a skilling competition, you are going to take that.
That was going to be my exact point. Generally,
taking the money from the people that don't care about it because they have so much from PVM and putting it to the skillers making the urn.
Yeah, it's a good money making one, but it's not one you're going to make and use yourself that I can see.
Yeah, I wouldn't do these on. I mean, I wouldn't use them on Iron Man unless Byrne was making them. I mean, I would make. But on I mean, it all depends on what what your money situation is, what your bankroll is, what you're working on at the time, how much you hate crafting, or I mean, how much you hate whatever skill you're doing.
Using the urn out, yeah.
That being said, this to me did stand out as maybe the weaker side of the update, because I like pretty much everything else, and we'll talk about like overall later, but this did feel a little bit weaker. I totally get the argument of you can't make it 10%. I probably wouldn't do that. Maybe slightly more than I don't know, the 4 or 5% to me, that's a clan avatar, right? Like I don't.
Right, and you know how important that is.
Yeah, so like I might have made it like Prince said, maybe 6, so something just.
And for what it's worth, Mod Breezy, who is largely behind this update, and the other people on the team who worked on this are looking into this. The plan is to watch it, wait for things to settle for a bit before making changes on either side. And this sounds a lot to me like the discussion that was being had around the Dineros from the Iron Man perspective entirely. When that
I think they've talked about some of the levers they might pull. They might make it triple porcelain you get from the stream one, or they might just increase the amount of XP you dump into an urn before it teleports off, so that way they're worth more. Couple ways they can go about it.
Yeah, and that is the thing. If something is needed for that, but I think just pivoting back to the main perspective, if you have the money, you're going to use it for the extra XP. It's really as simple as that. I don't think our mains are hurting will dictate what that for money
worth is.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy.
So, and on the iron side, well, it's that high level crafting. The decorated stuff is just so much more accessible, so we can just smile and move on if nothing happens.
On the iron side, you learn what you actually freaking need and what you can live with.
Yes. And the reason decorated urns are so accessible is because the soft clay is given out free to death from not just Griftinus, but like rare drop table and everything else. So like, give the porcelain clay 5 to 10 years.
I had this exact same thought this week. I thought, what if the problem isn't the exquisite urns? What if it's the other urns? What if regular wet clay is just too easy to get? There's
no material cost to them.
Yeah. That was my thing, and I realized that it's kind of like a design perspective looking at the entire thing, and not necessarily 100% player focusing, but as if I was balancing something, I'd say, oh, maybe I need to consider that instead.
And I'm going to keep saying this is just more reward space. They could release something that's like, oh, you get double porcelain clay or something like. room to improve.
Build up. Don't take away, Shane.
No, yes.
I know. We've largely moved away from that, and my general perspective when it comes to game design things is balance upwards, don't bring down.
Mm-hmm.
The Exquisites do work with the Urn Enhancer too, don't they? They did remember to do that.
Yeah, I haven't checked. Again, not an Urn use.
I don't know.
They work with the Brooch, so maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'd hope that they do. But that's an interesting point.
I'd imagine they do.
I know there's a whole bunch of other stuff that was mentioned for that, but also the question of jewelry this week, the platinum jewelry, and the ability to mine platinum was added to the game. For people who are interested, they're actually adding with this the platinum stone spirit that was added to the drop tables of Anagami, R-Hats, Erets, Celestial Dragons on Dragontooth Island, Gorilla Axe, Living Rock Protectors and Strikers, Tormented Demons replacing Adamant Stone Spirits, yikes, Ripper Dinosaurs, Wyverns, the Magister, AOD, and Solak. Yeah, you heard that. You know how I feel about the Magister.
Yeah, I mean, yay, Stone Spears? Question mark.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Right. I use my Stone Spirit, so I'm not gonna.
No, but
yeah, I mean, I'll buy them if they're cheap enough, but I wouldn't spend a lot of money on them. I mean, it's mining.
Oh no, I just get so many as drops. I use them from my drops.
Yeah.
And good on the Stone Spirit thing. People can use their perfect Juju mining potions, keep their stamina forever, whatever. That I think a lot of people were shocked to discover gold and silver don't have rock opportunities this week.
No, they've never had the rock opportunities.
They've never had them, and so platinum also doesn't. Raising the question, should the soft metals have them? They've said no. Maybe soft metals need a different mechanic. Maybe we just need rewards that funnel into harvesting soft metals, and like there's their niche.
Maybe.
But interesting that we all glazed over the fact gold and silver didn't have them.
You can mine it either in the desert or south of the Piscators fishing colony. I just wanted to throw that in. Go ahead, Fern.
Yeah.
I was just going to say though. I mean, you mine them that quickly, your gold and silver anyway, at the sort of the higher levels, that you're not going to... That extra boost of rock opportunities after crit hit is not really a big thing.
But again, we have concentrated gold in the living rock caverns. And...
Down there with your porters and your set.
Again, you look at gold and silver. Oh boy, those are also inundated from other areas in-game. So,
yes.
I mean, it's not like they need it. And it's not like they need the opportunity aspect there. So,
and I wouldn't say these are that crazy. Again, with this kind of stuff, it's not like you're trying to like build up a stock for +1, +2, +3, +4, +5 smithing. You're trying to make some of these things once ever, and the other ones you're like maybe making in bulk with like one ore box full load once, and then like there's 100 and something rings of retribution.
Yeah, and plus let's also not forget the Masterwork magic armor that needs 100 platinum plates.
Yes, which again is one ore box.
Yeah.
Quick question: can the jewelry compactor, can these be compacted?
The Delver anklet, yeah. I think we'll get to this. The Delver anklet, yes, because it's a teleport item. And then the Rings of Retribution can't be compacted, but they can be combined just to add more charges. Because
yeah, I'm thinking things like the Amulet of Experts.
Currently, no.
No.
And how many charges does it have?
250.
Let me.
They upped it a lot.
That's not
250 now.
That's not too bad then.
No. So the Platinum Ring is the Ring of Retribution. 23 bonus to all combat styles. Reflects 15% of damage taken back to the target. So it's an upgraded Ring of Recoil. It also provides a 12.5% boost to reflect damage from things like armor spikes, the reflectability, and the death touch bracelets. Degrades in combat after reflecting 10,000 hit points worth. Can be charged by using more rings on it. Requires level 90 hit points, Constitution to be equipped, and again, you have to be very heavily leaning into into Reflection to use this because
future Reflect builds, give it some time. Poison build became a thing over time.
Maybe the Reflect build could too. That's a good point, because I was going to say there's just so many other rings that are competing for it. So
to be fair, you can buy this on the GE for probably nothing. It's a dragon stone on a platinum enchanted.
Again, though, for an Iron Man, plus 23 bonus on all combat styles isn't too bad. You know, you don't have to sort of go out and get those, you know, those sort of harder to get rings of bosses. If you just want to do Slayer and you're mainly a skiller, and you want to do some slaying, it's probably a decent one for that.
Yeah. The necklace is the Insatiable Spirit necklace. Consumes 1 additional Stone Spirit, Wood Spirit, or Anima Stone for the resource, and plus 10% of the original XP. 50 charges, 1 charge used per spirit consumed. So you're giving up your Grace of the Elves for this.
Which wasn't giving you XP anyway.
No.
So this is, again, for those people that have money to burn.
I like this for rune crafting.
Extra 10% too.
Yeah, more XP for rune crafting.
It depends if I need Porter or not.
Right, and see, that's the thing. When it comes down to woodcutting and mining, you decide if you're portering or not, right? So,
well, again, with the boxes, you don't really need to porter anyway. And if you woodcut in the Grove, they've got all the dump boxes right there anyway.
Yeah, nice and close. So,
so this is just one use for the necklace. It's I know you enchanted to Insatiable. Just wait for 110 divination in those new porters. You'll probably be making plenty of these.
Oh, that's a good point. Very good point. But no, I like the option of using this as, say, here, throw another Stone Spirit into the mix for an additional 10% XP.
Mm-hmm.
I like the choice.
Yeah.
I like the choice.
Yes.
The Platinum Bracelet, the Sunburst Bracelet, skips 1 growth stage when a seed is planted. 10 charges here.
You guys tell us, how good is this?
I mean, my Max Bean main farmer, if I need something right away, I'm just going to use a growth potion on it. So this isn't something that I am using there. I mean, if I really, depending on how expensive this might be a way to, you know, really supercharge the herb runs, get them down to 40 minutes from an hour.
What if you're go ahead.
I was just going to say, it says 1 charge is used per planting of a seed. What if you're doing 7 seeds? Is that doing 7 charges?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh God, I would hope
know.
not. Oh, thank you, Google. I just want to go shopping for, you know, real life Sunburst bracelets. Yes, we got to add the
yes.
to that.
In my mind, I'm thinking, what's the longest grow times? What if you're in that 100
Spirit
plus
tree
range? You're trying to grow. I was gonna say, what if you're trying to grow like maybe spirit trees or even
or
trees
some of the
trees.
Some of the higher level fruits and whatnot. Like
maybe that's the point, and maybe you're being poor because you ignored POF or something. That maybe this is where you use it, is for like 100 to 120 farming training.
Yeah, I could see that.
Although I'm very, like, with Starbloom flowers right now, I'd be very spoiled for. I just go farming every 15 minutes or 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, for something like that, I mean, it's up to you if you want to sync them for that, because the Platinum bracelet itself requires the Dragonstone to it as well. And I mean, this is also another very convenient sync for Dragonstones in the game, because, you know, let's be honest, we were talking about that a few weeks ago, that there's just so many of them right now. So
thank goodness.
But yeah, I would say the higher level, you know, fruit trees and whatnot, or, you know, maybe even mushrooms if you were on a mushroom kick and you were wanting to harvest the tomb shrooms, just that extra little bit faster, because that can be used to feed your mushroom people if you don't have access to the Croesus stuff. So that's where I would use it. And, you know, just in general, look at the farming table, and if anything is too long, above what you would like for your, core traditional farming run. And if this brings it down to that is how you would, determine algorithmically when to use something like this.
Make the numbers line up. I like that use.
Yeah. And then the Amulet of the Expert, plus 20 progress when burial smithing, martial fletching, ascending, rune crafting, and adorning crafting has 250 charges on it. So again, you would, question if you want to give up this, the Saren spirits here for this, but it would just make the adorning and all the other, stuff we've got for these skills that much faster.
I don't even think Saren spirits, these are artisan skills. So like,
oh, they don't, right?
So it's just if you want to use this, it's plus 20% XP on that stage.
Yeah, and then we'll have the numbers with that next week when
how much is that of that stage is.
Yeah.
I think this is a good. To me, looking at this item, this is a point in favor of these 4 skills having similar-ish mechanics, because now you can have items that maybe affect more than one skill. Whereas if only smithing had it, this would just be a smithing amulet, and that's probably a lot less exciting.
That's quite boring. And then finally, the new one in the feat slot, the Deviler's Anklet, 50% reduction to run energy drain rate, as well as providing teleports to the Polyport Dungeon, Brimhaven Dungeon, and Fremennik Slayer Dungeon. 10 charges, 1 charge used per teleport.
Polyport Dungeon 3rd level is fantastic. Do we know whereabouts in Brimhaven and Fremennik they take you?
I think Brimhaven is up by the Fire Giant upper level.
Yep.
Fremennik, I think, is just midway.
Okay. Which, again, is not too bad if you've got the agility spots unlocked. Okay.
Yeah.
But the Polyport 3rd level is probably the one that'll be used for. Yeah.
And this is the one.
The 50% run energy thing is.
No.
Well, I wish that was something crazier like +1 surge or something. Or the Shifting Tombs surge mobile adding mobile cooldown thing.
Yeah.
Quarter it.
Hey, that double my chance of getting a Soul Altar, or I'll make 1,000 of them.
Something crazy like that would be a little more like giving up a boot slot.
And like you were wondering, Pern, this is the only compactable one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the teleport.
Yeah, because it's a teleport. Yeah.
And really, if it's only used as a teleport, it doesn't matter what slot it is.
No, it doesn't. So, I don't know. I think it's interesting. You're going to make a few of these. Maybe the amulet, maybe the necklace, and maybe the bracelet, depending on where you are. And again, very niche use on the ring as well. So, I just think that this part of the update is here. I think the urns had something to discuss, as did the Masterwork and Starbloom, but the jewelry is just there, and I mean, it does what it says on the tin. But
again, that platinum ring for the majority. I mean, Thaxi obviously wouldn't, because he does that sort of high end PVMing, so he wants the better rings. But for Slayer and such, for Tannis and myself, a couple of those will be fine.
Would you give up your luck of the dwarves?
Don't have a luck of the dwarves.
Oh,
better than the Asylum Surgeon ring.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Which is
the Asylum Surgeon ring is
a lot of people's
21.
default. It's a lot of people's default.
That's the one I use.
From the lovely quest Broken Home, right?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
You do miss out sometimes on the threshold resetting, which is nice. But
Broken Spirit, more like.
Take your pick.
All right. So, what do we think about, this as a whole and what this means for the future of 110 updates?
A solid 4 out of 5.
Fair.
Yeah, so I like this. And the thing that I liked about it the most was I felt like this was a skill that needed it. This wasn't, I mean, because we've had, I didn't feel like the mining needed one. There was just other things.
It was the safe one, yeah.
And so like this one, wood cutting was another one that was, needed. And even though like we kind of joke around that like, it does feel a little samey, it's also thematically very distinct. It's very on point, and I actually think they hit a good balance with this. I mean, there's some bugs, there's some balancing to do, but as for, just hitting the right note, I thought it was a good job.
Yeah, and like I was saying last week, I thought that this would be my favorite 110 so far, and I think that it is, and I think it's only if I look at this through the lens of the PVM perspective that I don't see much of a use in the armors for me in terms of where I land, right? I mean, I'm sure I'll have a base set of Starbloom at some point on the GIM just to have as a level 85 armor set. But when it comes to, things for me on the PVM scale, I look at the armor and whatnot a little bit differently. And I don't necessarily see use for Masterwork magic for me there, because if I'm going to get into magic on my main, I'm going to go grab the Sliske set to start off with and then upgrade to Tectonic after that if I like it. As for the GIM and doing magic there, maybe, but I'm not quite at that point yet where I'm ready, to make that decision. And I think the urns, we had the discussion on the urn pricing. I think if you have the money to buy them, you're going to buy them. Like you said, Tan, it's the skilling contest. You're going to take that extra 4 to 5% XP. Wherever you can get it, you're going to take it. And I think, we just have to wait and see if it's determined if it's too expensive from what they look at on their perspective from Breezy and team. Overall, though, favorite part? The guild and the examine info.
Oh, yeah, we know. Agree, though. I think that generally, I quite liked it. I think that generally, after hearing all you guys talk about what your thoughts on the update were, I think as a group, we've been more in favor of it than other communities have been, like whether it's the clans I'm in or
and
Discord or the Reddit, and I think that going into this 110, there was a lot of excitement. I think a lot of people thought this was going to be a lot more different than the previous 3 110 updates than it ended up being. Just
it's a question of scope.
Put out for the blogs, it's always a question of scope. But I think that a lot of the arguments post it coming out were like, oh, it really is the same crafting method, and there's not much going on with the porcelain's only so much more experience more, and I'm only using the Delver's anklet and all the other jewelry doesn't relate to me. Things like that. I think that there's something that needs to be done about the marketing of these 110 updates. I don't think that they're misrepresenting them.
No, absolutely not.
I think they are saying it, but I think expectations are just the
jumping. Expectation is that it's going to be
before each one. Everyone's like, this is the one that's totally different. They're not going to be totally different.
Right. I think the expectation for some people who are feeling maybe a bit let down by these is that they're hoping for something that is either going to shake up the crafting meta or whatever its skill it might be, but at the same time, they're also hoping for something that's going to be a fundamentally different training method than what we've experienced in other skills. I think that's how I would put that in terms of what people are concerned about.
Yes.
I think that's probably.
I think a lot of the work that's probably going behind the scenes of raising the skill cap and tying into things, and even with this update missing a couple of those, all the previous updates, they've hit all the things they need to tie into, all the extra bits. There's a lot going on there on the technical side, and these are coming out fast as well, every 3 months.
Yeah, we're done for this year, right? The next one is Thieving early next year, I think.
No, the Thieving's this year.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Oh, yes, in the fall-winter area. So,
right.
Excited there. It'll be pre-Haven Height.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, as far as what this means for the future 110s, I think that there's maybe some work to do to market these even lower. Maybe there's a work to do. Maybe it's just is what it is, or maybe they have to change the approach to more match expectations. I think Thieving is going to have to be outside the box, and I think Hunter is very well set up having this crafting bit, where now it doesn't even have to focus on the crafting part of it. It just has to focus on the hunter part, and then the rewards will naturally come out through the crafting section, the masterwork armors and the range armor and all that.
Okay. Tanis?
Yep.
Yeah, I like I said, I just think it's a solid update. It felt a lot more necessary than other 110s, and we've had 120s that were more samey than
Farming
this layer.
No, I mean, so.
Yeah.
I sometimes I guess my expectations must be off because I don't understand where people are coming from. Coming in, I didn't even know that it hadn't been received well, because to me, I was like, this is probably next to the woodcutting. This has probably been the best 110. So yeah, that's what I think overall.
All right, Pern?
Yep, as I said, I give it a solid 4 out of 5. There's a few little issues, but overall I thought it was quite good. I mean, I would have liked to have seen, maybe something done with crafting to make it more useful in the 90 plus range rather than sort of just 100 to 110. But overall, I mean, as we said, I mean, the urns are going to be good money makers for skillers. The ones who are going to be using them are not going to be making them for themselves. They are going to be buying them. The jewelry, I think that they serve a purpose in their different areas that they need. People complain about stone spirits. Well, you don't like them. Well, now you're going to get an extra 10% XP. Great. Sacrifice a stone spirit for a bonus 10%. I think that's pretty decent. It's not like when mining and smithing first come out, but we're not doing a full rework from 1 to 99. This is a 100 to 110 level. I mean, people complain about the same thing. I think it's a little bit different. I mean, I like the idea of just moving between the different tables and such. Maybe if I was doing it for 10 or 12 hours, I'll feel different. but I just like the way they do it. And, introducing those Starbloom flowers a little bit early. I mean, I did wait until Monday to do it, and because I have 1,000 growth potions in my bank, so
even that takes a while.
Yeah, well, that's right, but it's like it's not hard, So bang, you just do what you need to do. Sit back, bang, pick the 12 flowers, do all that type of stuff. The fact that I can make a high level armor, granted it's tank, but I can make it for myself and just go ahead and do it and do what I want to do, I find fantastic. And I understand these days, it's the faux outrage is the popular thing.
And see, that's the thing. The sense is that every update needs to push the envelope, right? And
you don't need to
beyond that. Whereas I think it's been established that the way they do these 110s is that they're a skilling update while increasing the number.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of background work to make now we did 110 mining. Now we have the crafting update. We can make new mining things in the level 100 to 110 space, like the porcelain and the platinum. Now, because those are at 102 and 104. They're going to be filled out slowly over time.
That's right. As long as they keep adding to those previous ones, as you said. As long as they keep doing that, and I think for myself it met expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, obviously for us, because, we read the post and we were there since the beginning on that. But just a couple of other little bits and bobs on this. I already mentioned the fact that if you're north of 50, now you no longer have a chance to accidentally crush the gemstones when gem cutting them, which is very nice. And they
Master
changed...
crafters really are masters now.
Yeah. And they changed the crafting level of fungal griffolic ganodermic visors, the leggings, and the poncho to match their defense level. So the level 75 ganodermic poncho now requires 75 crafting rather than 98 crafting.
Again, that's one area I would have liked to have seen maybe an increase in the drop rate of the ganodermic flakes and stuff to make it a viable training method. Yeah, it's great to make yourself a set and such, but it's not something you're going to choose to do unless you've got a lot of money. You're not going to sit there and use this as a viable training method.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We got a few achievements of the week. This week we have XOX, Scotty XOX with 200 million woodcutting on the 18th, Jade Gizmo with 120 necromancy on the 16th, and Pern, you got 99 invention on the 16th as well. Congratulations.
Oh, I did. Thank you.
All righty. Pick of the week time. We don't talk about the world around us that much in real life here, because we talk about a game. So I thought, I'm going to have a pick of the week here that goes into what was at one point in time the largest shopping mall in the world, and that's the West Edmonton Mall, which is in my city. And this is a YouTube channel that goes...
Did I just say, did you choose the Edmonton Mall because the Oilers didn't win the cup?
No, I'm very happy that they did not win. I'm very happy that they did not win. Very happy about that. But the pick of the week is basically a historical archive. The guy who does this does article-style videos about various aspects of it. If you have been there before, you'll recognize things from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s that have changed. And I think it's just an interesting thing to look at for people who aren't from here, just to get a bit of a perspective about what was at one point the biggest shopping mall in the world. That's of course now been eclipsed by ones in places like Dubai and China and whatnot. But it provides something that has been a consistent figure here, and some people come to see this as a tourist attraction when in reality, it's something that I've had in the city practically forever, and it's an interesting way to get a look into it. And as a result, I just wanted to give this a bit of a mention on the show. I found the channel somewhat recently on this, and I mean, if you're at all interested for a figure of what exists in the place that I live, definitely go give the channel a look. And there was an interesting point in time that one point the shopping mall had more submarines than the Canadian Navy did, because there was a submarine line in the mall. So, yeah, go have a look at some of the videos there for this, and I'd be interested to hear what the listeners think, and if any of you guys who are on this episode have a look at the channel and what you guys think. But the channel's called the Best Edmonton Mall, linked in the show notes. Update.show. What was that, Tanis?
That wasn't me.
Oh.
I said I'll check it out.
Oh, okay, yeah. Fair enough. But
pickleball.
Yeah, they have an indoor pickleball place apparently there. That's one thing I was not aware of.
Yeah, I'm just having a look through all these different ones.
Water park.
Ooh, whole water. Wow. I feel like malls become more activity based just to keep up with the times.
Yeah, because I don't know if it's been retail's changed, right? To the point that the only places that seem to do well in shopping malls are the experience-based shopping experiences that are there, like Apple and whatnot, those sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, malls were the 90s. That's where the 90s kids like me hung out and hit on chicks and smoked cigarettes and,
I mean, classic Americana there.
Yeah.
Australia's just invented the first drive-through mall.
I saw the video of that.
Really?
Yes, we won't talk about that.
But give it a look. Give it a look. Best Edmonton Mall. Any questions about it? the channel?
I didn't know a lot of videos about them all. Yeah.
So I learned something today.
What was it, Avernick?
I didn't know it was famous, so I've learned something
okay,
today.
Fair enough.
Play-Doh ride.
Yeah. The the amusement park has been Hasbro rethemed in recent years. So
there's
even a VR land.
Yeah, I don't know what that
is.
He's
got a lot of views on his different things too.
Yeah. It's it surprised me seeing this because these videos here, have tens of thousands of views. In some cases, like apparently one of the hotel room windows look down into the water park.
Okay,
and that's
interesting as well that The Last of Us HBO show was
it
one
was
of the locations
filmed.
was there.
A couple of the seasons were filmed heavily here in Alberta.
So there you go.
But that's the pick of the week. Find it in the links at update.show. Okay, what'd you see?
Ribs and barbecue grilled pork. Yeah.
Food.
Oh, we live in there.
That's not typical mall food, so
No, exactly what I mean.
Yeah, like damn.
I'm going
that is
there.
not food court.
Well, that's pretty much it for this episode of Update. Thank you, everybody, for being here. If you want to subscribe, the best way to do that is on the main podcast listening services, wherever you listen: Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, and more. Also, just visit update.show/subscribe. We have them all there, as well as YouTube, youtube.com/RSBANDB. But thank you for being here. Always good having you on the show, Pern.
Great to be here. And just, everyone, give the crafting and such a try. Don't listen to all the negativity all the time. Check it out yourself. Go in with an open mind, and you might surprise yourself that you actually enjoy it.
Yeah. And Avernick, I'm glad you managed to bring the lore to 110 crafting on this episode.
It was all me. I did the whole thing.
Well, I mean,
no,
bring
it
it
to be
to
here,
us.
and you can put me back in the box. You can put me back in the box till Eclipse.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, none of us knew about it until you told us, so that was good.
Wonderful. I'm glad to have spread the good word. It was the first thing I looked at when I logged into the update. I was like, Everlight, it's got to be something.
You're the RuneScape lore missionary. That could be your new title.
Otherwise known as a nerd.
Fair. And, of course, Tan, it's always good having you on the show as well.
Thanks, Shane. I wouldn't miss a skill and update.
Yep, indeed. And with that being said, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of RSBANDB Update. See you then, everyone. Take care.
See ya.
Yeah, bye.
Happy scaping all.